Welcome to the Marc Colcer podcast. Okay, so how do we start this this episode? We'll figure out what we're gonna call this. We said potentially D Weekly.
That's the only name that I fucking thought of. It's either that or just Sonny and Marc.
Okay. All right, if somebody comes up with a better name, send it over to us. But
we'll name this the Godly Show later.
There we go. We'll figure it out later. But somebody send us what we should call it. But anyhow,
Episode 1.
Episode 1. So what we're going to be doing is Sonny is the newfound president of DeGods. Shout out to Sonny. If I had a little soundboard here, which I do, it's over there. I can't click it though. I would give you the applause.
Golf clap.
Sonny's the president of DeGods.
Word.
So first
what
off,
the fuck does that mean?
Is there? So yeah, I guess let's just jump right into that. By the way, so this episode, just for everybody to know, what we're kind of overall trying to do with this is for us to kind of bring questions from the community. I asked them to Sonny. Sonny is obviously now the president of DeGods. He's got a direct line of communication with the team. He can answer some of the questions that you guys have. So if you guys have any questions about DeGods specifically, we'll let Utes president speak on Utes. Then, send them over to us. I'll make sure they get asked on the next time we do this episode. But yeah, so we're going to keep this first episode pretty quick, and we'll cut through everything, and then from there, these episodes can be as long as they need to be. But so first question, what the fuck does being DeGods president even mean? So, Sonny, you want to jump into that?
Honestly, truly, figuring it out as we go, in the sense of this role is very, very ambiguous. I think the description that they put out was it left it to kind of be ambiguous as well, right? Kind of being the face of the brand. I've heard a lot of people kind of be like, is it just kind of like a community manager, like an elevated community manager, right? And I think there's some aspects of that, right? Because there's aspects of rallying the community, engaging with the community. This past year, I've met so many holders in person, and there's a kind of a different, just energy that you get from meeting holders in person versus connecting online, obviously. So I think through all of that, there's an aspect of just who is that face of the brand, or when you're thinking of DeGods, who are people that you're thinking of? I think we have people in the community that, for different people in the space, they would point to that person as when they think of DeGods, they think of that person, right? And so I think it's really just being that figure that's in the front, if you would, repping really, really well. And then also being kind of an extension of the team. I think we've talked about so much internally of just a lot of the main things that we want to focus on with this is communication with the community, having them feel like they're let in with the team. And then content as well, because we live in a space where content is king, the attention economy is king. And you have to kind of play into that, right? And how do you almost merge the communication with content, which is kind of what we're doing here. But I would say, the president, I don't want it to be this kind of very, very complicated thing and promise all of these things that we're going to do. I think more so we just want to focus right now on how do we bring the vibes back with the community, get the communication right with the team, and just have everybody kind of in this flow state.
Fair. Now, how do you feel about the fact that 18 of the 46 U.S. presidents have there's been an attempted assassination or an assassination? Do you worry for your life in this position?
I
because I could assassinate you right now.
I don't think so, Mark.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. I don't. I'm very aware.
What if this
of
was
my
all a setup?
surroundings.
What if this was a setup?
If this was all a setup, then I guess I would deserve it for just having a terrible judge of character.
Yeah.
Just
doxing myself would have been a terrible idea. Yeah. I shouldn't have done that.
What I'm saying? You're the last person that could get away with anything. On chain, off chain, anywhere. Your face is just I don't know. I feel like your shit you need to be on a billboard somewhere for some ad. I don't know what ad yet, but for something.
Some meme of me down the road, I'm sure will be. But yeah, no, that's cool. And the reason why I like kind of the ambiguous nature of it, because you and I talked about it when you first told me that you were going to become the president, and I kind of asked you, hey, so how are you viewing this role? What do you want it to be too? And And I think one of the things that I liked about kind of the ambiguous nature of it is like it allows us to see how driven is this person to actually bring value to this role, right? Because to me, I don't really want somebody to come into this. If I'm thinking as a DeGod holder, like, what do I want this role to be? I don't want somebody who comes in who's just like a yes man, who's going like, okay, yep, we'll do that. Or like Frank says, here's the 5 things I want you to do. And you go, okay, cool. I'll just do those 5 things. I want the person who's like a go-getter, who's like, hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that. And like you and I got together on whatever it was, Saturday night. And we were just chopping up ideas for hours. And
after you had a video go viral.
We're not going to talk about the Detroit Lions losing that game. They should not have lost that game. We don't need to get into that.
700,000 views later, though. I mean,
the video,
nice little balance. They're still going to the playoffs.
Yeah, man, those comments. People think Web3 is nasty. Man, NFL Twitter is wild.
Oh, man.
There were some comments. Loser ass bitch. Oh man, they were ruthless out there.
No, who was the one that was like somebody had said like, I hope your crypto bags go to zero.
No, they said I love watching crypto people take L's or something like that. And I was like, damn, that person had an FTX account. Okay, like don't blame me. I'm not Sam Bankman-Fried. Okay?
For real.
Yeah, please, God. But yeah, I mean, like we talked for hours about kind of what do we think this role should become, and what ideas you had and everything like that. And so I think from there we should probably pivot into the cabinet. So when you were going through the cabinet and
so one thing too, right? Like when you think about like, I don't want to be like when you think about like U.S. presidents or whatever, right? But you bringing them up, it's like. You think about what they do, and a lot of it is kind of like these PR relations with like other countries, relations with other people, like smoothing that over, communication to the country, and like all these sort of things. And like it's really just that, right? And it's like being the face of that country. And it's like when you break that down and you put that in DeGods, is like, what does that look like? It's like, okay, like very much wanting to, like move partnerships along and smaller partnerships and activations. And like, DeGods can be involved with like a lot of people that are in this overarching Web3 community and involved with a lot of cool tech that's coming up or whatever, right? Bring cool things to their community via that. And then, the aspect of just communication and like being that person that's like a representative of DeGods. And I think we think a lot too about how, new DeGods feel when they buy, right? Like what is a new DeGod feeling right now? And it's like, if they have someone and, going into the content cabinet where it's like, okay, you get a welcome from this person that's been representing DeGods for X amount of time. That's the president and the cabinet. And it's like, you already have like a good solid core people that you can just go like ask things to or whatever. That may make it way easier for you to like be a part of this community and find your people and get acclimated, right? Because I feel like a lot of it now is like, I wouldn't even know, right? Like what does it look like to go buy an NFT right now of some like blue chip project and like enter that community, right? So I think that's just like parts of how we're just thinking about this too, is really those things.
Yeah, kind of curating that experience for people. Yeah, because I think a lot of times too, it's like the goal, and you mentioned a bit ago about kind of bringing the vibes back, and this last year for DeGods has been one of the more interesting years. It's always a roller coaster. It's always interesting. There's no doubt about that. If you're ever just looking for engagement on social media, just tweet out something about DeGods, and you're gonna get the extra likes there, whether negative, positive, the whole nine. But yeah, I mean, I think it's been an interesting year, and I think when you talk about the vibes, it's one of those things where like a lot of us come onto Twitter and into Web3 in general because we want to have fun, right? And like Web3 for a lot of people is an escape from whatever they got going on in life, and you can come here and you can get to know people. Like you and I have become friends from just being DeGod holders and getting to know each other kind of over that common bond. And then we've found, many other things that have helped us create that friendship that we have. But like the initial, common denominator that we had was DeGods, right?
Yep.
And so it's like bringing back that fun for people and everything like that. And You know, and so when we've seen that in the last few weeks with kind of like the shitcoin world, and like people are bringing the fun with like used car, and now we've got Eddie coming out of a helicopter and getting into a used car. We've got Soul Jake, he said he just bought one. Like it's all about having fun. Like that's
and it becomes bigger, right?
Yeah.
Like it becomes so much bigger than whatever it is that it's so much bigger than a fucking coin right now, right? And it's so much bigger than like people just making bags. And I think obviously you need to have the whole, like, you know, we were going through a bear market, like obviously bad vibes and sentiment is going to be there, but I mean, if you could keep good vibes through that, like that's just a internal thing, right? Like that's almost like a mindset thing. If you can stay the course and just like not flip into a negative person towards it or get mad at people or lash out or whatever, right? But like going to the used car thing, it's like it became bigger than just the token and the bags people were making, because shit is even down, right? Like it's gone up and down that shitcoin season. But like you said, you got Fast Eddie jumping out of a helicopter, like he's trying to replace the engine of his of the Civic or some shit like that, and went out. Jakey got one. You got a whole bunch of other people just randomly like trying to buy 2001 Honda Civics. I'm sure the car dealerships right now are like, what the fuck is going on? Like,
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, just I think when it becomes bigger than that, it just like you're genuinely having just fun on the internet and fun in real life doing shit. And like you can't replace or duplicate some of those feelings, right? Those are like almost, I don't know, like for the moment or whatever the case is, but it's just like it's hard to just like, you can't like, what am I trying to say here? You can't, like
you can't force those vibes.
Yeah, it's organic. Yeah, it's mad organic, and that just makes it that much more fun.
100%. I mean, I put out this tweet, I feel,
like, bro, you interviewed a car.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, I'm your first interview since you interviewing a car.
You're not as you're not as gently used. But
I think that's a good thing.
But no, you're very used. But
no, pause.
Okay, so I put out this tweet yesterday, and it was everyone wants their bags, their NFTs, their meme coins, etc. to go up.
This tweet was a banger.
Thank you. Everyone wants their bags, their NFTs, their meme coins, etc. to go up in price. It's easy to support when price is moving up. It's harder when you're down 50%. But the communities that don't give up will always be the most successful. Look at the Solana community as an example. Never gave up, and look how the last year went. A community that works together and pushes forward regardless of price movement creates an actual movement. It's hard to stop that. And I really do
bars.
Like what made me kind of think of that is like this last year for DeGods, I would say probably 8 months of that was a great time, right? Maybe 7 months of that was a great time.
Literally 8 months.
And it's like, and then we got to August and the vibes turned, right?
Yep.
And I think we've started to see that there was there was valid criticism that a lot of people had. And then I think we went probably to a point where it's like, okay, we went a little too far and now we're bouncing back a little bit. But it's like, we recognize as people who have been here since day one that like, yeah, those were some hard months, right? But we also recognize that like this is a really, really strong community that has the ability to build back out of this. And what I've loved to see over the last month or two is you're starting to see people who have gone, hey, I've always wanted to be a DeGod holder or a Utes holder or whatever, and I finally found my entry price, and now I'm in, right? And I look forward to those people, and I'm curious to hear your comment on this, because I think one of the problems that we had, and mind you, again, we've been OG DeGod holders from mint day, is that the initial vibes of when we went from mint day to probably the peak, which I think was like $36,000, was a lot of like kind of that underdog mentality of like, here we are, kind of like we changed the art from DeGods to Dead Gods and everything like that. And there was this like, huge movement on Twitter. There's like the Mickey DeGods and everything they're doing. And there's so much going on. And there was constantly something. Dust was going crazy, all of that. And the, sentiment was nuts. And then right after all of that happens, you've got Celsius happens right then. Price of Solana starts to go down. And then we see fast forward to whatever that was, like November 2022. We have FTX happens, right?
Bro.
And there
Can
was...
we just pause for a second? Bruh. FTX, Celsius, all these fucking hacks that we've gone through for the past, like, however long. I just feel sometimes that like how quickly we move on from those things, like it wasn't literally like damn near like a year ago is nuts to me.
Oh yeah, I mean, do you remember the
Like-
day that USDC depegged
Bro.
and people and people were losing their shit? I mean, or USDT. Let me clarify.
Yeah, and then people were doing some arbitrage on that shit too.
I mean,
Oh
there
my God.
so many crazy things. I mean, there is so much chaos that's happened, but it wasn't. The price movement when it came to DeGods was never as a result, at that moment, was not as a result of DeGods' actions. It was a result of outside forces, right?
Yeah.
And so then we get into from January 2023 to August 2023, the vibes are great. DeGods goes from Solana to Ethereum. People are excited for the new chain. There's still, obviously DeGod
People are excited.
at the time. But obviously holders, I think 95% of us are holding big bags in Solana and Ethereum and everything, Bitcoin.
Bro, there's no like feasible way. Like nobody in fucking history, I don't care, is going and starting on Solana and then moving to ETH and only using ETH. There's no fucking way.
Right,
if you
right.
came from Solana, there's just absolutely no way that you stop using Solana.
Right.
There's like, I don't know.
I mean, my journey was I went from Solana to Ethereum and then was still using Solana, but like at the time was like, let me explore Ethereum more.
Yeah, which is dope.
Yeah.
Multi-chain is the future for sure. I just don't think that like anybody that started on Solana is not going to another chain and not using Solana anymore, even when it was at its lowest point.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
I mean, I still say one of my favorite moments in Web3 was when FTX happened and Easy ran his space at Solana being $8, and he runs that space with like 3,000 people in it, like everybody who's in Solana is in that space. And then Vitalik puts out his tweet about Solana, and I think it pushed up the Solana price from like $8 to like $12 or something like that, and we were euphoric over it, right? And it was like, and that's kind of when I knew we're gonna be okay. And like, that was a stressful day for a lot of us.
Yep.
But it was like, it was good to know that,
you had so many people show up.
yeah.
Like,
And we're seeing in that moment, we're seeing support from Vitalik, Ethereum to
Yeah.
Solana showing support for each other. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so, okay, but getting further into it, because I don't want to get too off track again, this episode will become an hour real quick, is we go from January 2023 to August 2023, and all of a sudden there's, season 3.33 or season 3 drops. Doesn't go over the way that people are expecting. I become a meme. Whatever you think you don't know shit, including myself. People forget that part of it.
goated meme.
But people forget I'm included in that. So that all happens, right? And there was a lot of criticism for DeGods, from holders, from non-holders, from literally anybody who has a thought about Web3 was giving their thoughts on DeGods. And, in a way, I think it's a good thing, because what it does in that moment, there was a time period where we got really, really cocky, where the community was like, we're going to flip Bored Ape, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And
I remember those times, and like, I just like, every time I saw those tweets, it was like, honestly, it was so annoying to see those tweets, because it was like, we're still the underdog. Like, we're on ETH now. We should have this underdog mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like, the same underdog mentality that took us to dominating the Solana chain when we were on it is like the same shit that we should have had going into that bridge of just like, now we're here. You know what I'm saying? And I think too much focus was on like, we're going to flip this project and we're going to flip this project. And when we did flip a few projects, people were like announcing it and shit like that. And it was just like, bro, like, these are all just like temporary moments in time. Like, all these flippings and floor price and all this sort of shit is all temporary moments in time right now. If all of us are saying that we're planning to be here for X amount of time, like we're saying we're going to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter if you fucking flip this project this month, because as we saw in the latter part of the year, all these other projects are flipping us now. Now we're going down and we're going through it. And like, yeah, I don't know. Overall, I feel like we needed to get hit in the mouth.
Yeah, well, because we were a lot of members of the community were cocky dickheads at that time, right? Because it's like, to me, the reason why those tweets pissed me off so much is because I'm like, dude, I don't give a shit about the floor price of a project I'm not holding. I hope they go to $10 million. I don't care. As long as the projects I'm holding are doing well, I don't give a damn. Like, why am I actively rooting against another project? I'm not doing that. That's the lamest shit to me.
It's literally like the poorest mindset that that you can have.
Yeah.
Because if I'm looking at another floor price that I'm not a part of, me personally, I don't have an abundant mindset then.
Yeah.
Because like if you don't think DeGods can win just by being DeGods and being on its own, and we could run up to whatever fucking floor price just because it's DeGods and not because of these other projects that like we're in the ecosystem with, whatever, like why can't it be that like 10 projects are all just eating, or 20 or 30? Like if we're here building it out, and like this is the very early stages of what this shit even looks like it's such a poor mindset to have.
Yeah, and it's just, and again, you make people want to see you fail at that moment, right? Because all of a sudden, you know, we used to screenshot people talking negatively about DeGods, and all of a sudden it became people screenshotting DeGod holders talking negatively about Solana, talking negative about other projects, and it's like, yo, you just set yourself up to look like a dumbass. Like that's truly what you're doing, right?
And to that point, right, I think a lot of people too, like sometimes get it twisted a little bit during that whole Solana period where it's just like, oh, the team and Frank and this and that. And it's just like, to be honest, I feel like it was like a lot more of these like holders that were just like mad talking shit about Solana that never really like were on Solana in the first place. You know, they were like already ETH people that came over and like bought early because they wanted to see it go to ETH and all these things. And I just feel like more people were just like coming out, and because it was like the easy like engagement at the time. It goes back to like, you know, DeGods FUD or praise gets engagement. I feel like Solana is almost in that same category of like, if you FUD Solana or you praise Solana, like you're getting engagement. You know what I'm saying? Like how many FUD tweets have we seen recently as it's pumping, and it's just like, you know what they're like, they know what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, it's almost like, it's kind of funny how hand in hand it is, because it's like, there's actually a lot of similarities within the communities. And like, I feel like if someone's watching this right now from the Solana community, they'd probably yell in my face, like, what the fuck you mean there's similarities between DeGods and Solana community? But I think that just like that deep rooted and like that conviction piece of it, that's where I think like both of them win, is just like, there's too many people that are just like riding behind it and like rallying for it that they just won't let it lose.
Yeah. And to me, it's just like, you know, the biggest thing that I think about when it comes to the Web3 space is like the space is very tiny. We're actively trying to grow, but it's a very small world. So anytime you talk negatively about another project or whatever, and mind you, that's not saying that we should create an echo chamber and and you can't have criticism of other people and everything like that, or other projects or whatever.
There's respect and there's disrespect.
Right. There's a way to go about it in a respectful way, and there were a lot of people that went about it in a very, very disrespectful way, and then wondered why people were rooting for their demise, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, the thing that I think about all the time is that, again, going back into it, this Web3 space is very, very tiny, which means that when you're making a comment about another project, odds are somebody else holds that same project that also holds your project. So now you're pinning people that within your own community against each other. It's like, it's the dumbest mindset, and I've never understood it. And again, it doesn't mean you can't have valid criticisms. Again, the tweet that Frank put out near Christmas of, you know, what's the optimistic outlook for Solana? That was a bad tweet. That was a real
bad tweet.
Love Frank. Terrible tweet.
To that point, right, me and you actually had this conversation like off camera, I think on Saturday or whatever. And it's just like, okay, well, like imagine you're in his position where you have thousands of holders that just like have potentially round trip seen their asset go from a very all-time high of like 5 digits to very low 4 digits. And you have all these people like coming at you, whatever. And it's just like, I'm not saying that he's justified for tweeting that. I don't think it was a good tweet, and I don't think the rollout and just how things happened to close out the year, I don't think it was done well, right? But at the same time, I'm like, most people would not even probably know what to do in that position. And I think there is an aspect of just like lending some grace to people that are in this space, and lending grace to people where it's just like, damn, like, yeah, it wasn't a good decision to tweet that, or it wasn't a good decision to do this or that, or even the whole, like, he turned his back and all this sort of thing. But it's like, bro, like, have you had thousands of people come at you for an asset that they're holding, and they're like screaming at you or coming at you in any type of way? Like, there's just more grace that could be had there. And I think we can agree that it's like, it's a bad tweet. And at the same time, like, he's not a bad person. It's like 100%. He's not trying to like, it's not like he was trying to fucking kill Solana or something like that. Like, bro is like supported it even throughout. So
Yeah.
it's to me, it's just kind of like a little bit of grace to the people that are like essentially, just like may have some of their worst moments in public, may have some failures in public. The more grace that we can lend them, the better this ecosystem is going to get. We're all figuring this shit out at the end of the day.
100%. Like, dude, it's impossible to have any sort of presence on social media and not make a mistake.
Facts.
Like, it's just the reality of it. Like, you're gonna get emotional one day, say something you probably shouldn't. Like, and it's just, and you're gonna make mistakes. Like, that's human nature, right? So, I can look at that tweet and go, ooh, not my favorite tweet. Wouldn't retweet that one. But I'm like, I love Frank, and that was just, and that was just a mistake, right? And I want him to learn from that, just as I would want somebody to say the same thing about me if I made a mistake, right? And I'm human, I will make mistakes, right? So it's just one of those things where we can call something out while still not doing it in a disrespectful way, right? And so, because then you get into the whole, like, people will be like, but, this guy's just a dick rider or whatever.
Yeah, well, speaking of, right, I remember when he put that tweet out, there was, like, I won't say who, but there was a founder of some project on Sol, not a NFT project, I think, like, some protocol or something, whatever, that just, like, was calling Frank a bitch, like, for the tweet. And it's just, like, fam, like, you could say it's a bad tweet without, like, calling him a bitch on Twitter. Because let's keep it a buck. If you call someone a bitch in real life and like you're coming at them aggressive, like those are fighting words, fam.
Even though
like,
Frank not a fighter.
Like, he's not a fighter. I'm not saying that Frank is a fighter, but I'm saying if you were to pick and choose who you're saying that to, then you're not keeping the same energy.
Well,
because are you gonna come up to me and call me a bitch? Like,
you're awesome.
But that's what I'm saying.
You're a gigantic man.
But that's what, if you're not gonna keep the same energy with Frank that you would keep with someone that you might not be able to beat in a fight. That's all I'm saying.
It's the most cliche statement of all time, but it's the treat people how you would like to be treated, right? Like, you can call somebody out, just do it in a respectful way.
Yeah, that's mad disrespectful.
Right.
Where you could have just been like, fam, this is. What the like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you could have disagreed in 100 different ways. You could have just
commented, this is a dog shit tweet. Yeah. Like, it is what it is. Like,
this is the worst tweet of all time. Like,
whatever, and it's just, and again, it's just, don't tweet something if you wouldn't say it to somebody's face. And I'm not even saying from a fighting perspective, but simply out of, like, let's be real, you go to these Web3 events.
You wouldn't even say this.
Right. Like, you would never say that. Like, it's, again, you can call things out, whatever. Like, dude, I've called people, friends of mine in Web3, and I've said, like, hey, this tweet that you put out, not a fan of it. Here's why. Like, you might want to adjust on this one, right? I've had people that have done the same for me. I put out a tweet, and this is just to show this. There was a time, there was a project on ETH that put out their art, and their art was objectively not great, right? And everybody on Twitter that day was body bagging them, right? And so I tweeted out something. I was like, well, I want to join in on the fun. This is fun. I'll body bag them, right? And I had it was a PG body bag. I'm not too confrontational, but and Frank called me immediately and was like, yo, you got to take that down. And I was like, oh, really? Like, it was a kind of a harmless body bag. And he's like, dude, everybody's taking shots on them right now. Why do you need to add to that? And I was like, damn, you're right. You're so right. And I was like, and in that moment, I needed that reminder, right? Now, mind you, that was post Frank's Solana tweet, right? So, like, the thing is, that's what we're supposed to do, is that in that moment, people called him out. In that moment, he called me out, right? And, like, that's what we're supposed to do. We're all living and breathing and growing and evolving, and that's the whole thing. Now, okay, I don't want to go a ton further into this because, again, we are going to make this episode way longer than we talked about originally. It's already 26 minutes. But
great conversation though.
Yeah, but more or less what I'm saying and what you're saying too is we're looking forward to some new people coming in, getting the vibes back for the community, and
bringing the vibes back. That's the major. Yeah, that's the major. So we could flow that right into the content cabinet.
Yeah, let me flow it into that real quick. The thing one last thing I want to add on that is if somebody left during season 3 and everything like that, totally understand. You got to make decisions for your bags and everything like that. If you're still here or you recently bought in, excited to have you here. I know I can speak for both of us by saying we're excited to have you here, excited to get to know more people. We had a great time in Miami getting to know a lot of holders and everything like that. We've had some events recently in LA, and it's been cool getting to know more people there. So, again, it's, for the people who are still here,
these times are really bonding moments.
Oh yeah.
Like these are the most community bonding moments because you figure out who's really rocking with you and who's not.
100%. So, okay, let's roll into the cabinet. So what is the cabinet? Who's in the cabinet? And what is kind of the purpose of the cabinet?
Yeah. So I think when we were thinking of the cabinet, right, like, and even probably the way that it was presented, it could be like this, again, very ambiguous thing, right, where it's just like, what are the people in the cabinet going to do? Like, why are they needed? All these sort of things, right? And I think there was some thinking that it was going to be some sort of like advisory board or feedback loop or whatever the case is, right? And the thing is like, even with working with the team, right, the way that I've just always kind of operated, even from like a, de-athletic standpoint, operating in the community and that sort of thing, is like, what are all the things that I can do independent of having to like hit Frank up or hit Aaron up or like whatever, and like get the right information that I need from them so I can be out here and just like empowered to make decisions. Because I think this space moves so fast, and they're busy, they're doing so many things, that it's like the better that we can just like essentially add less friction to like needing approvals and this and that sort of thing is like the best possible thing, right? So to that nature, it's like, I'm not necessarily like strategizing on like, oh, you need to do this for Clarify or this or that. Like, that's them. Let the team cook. You know what I'm saying? And so in this way, it's more going back into that whole like content communication, being a representative of the brand. That's where I really see like this presidency and wanting to extend that to the cabinet. So the cabinet idea is essentially a content cabinet. And I think the people that we've selected have just like shown being able to, build their platforms, and they've built it using DeGods PFPs, and they've like expanded their networks and, just become really, really dope people in the space, right? And those are the type of people that we want representing us. And when we're thinking about like people thinking about DeGods, it's like, these are some of the people that I would love for them to think of. You know what I'm saying? And so going into the content cabinet, selecting these people, there was one model person that I had like from the community that I was like, yo, this person just like hits the nail on the head of like the type of just like mold I would want to have in the content cabinet.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
And that person is Beck.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The disrespect in Web3. Just kidding. Love you, Beck.
The real ones know her as Crypto Beck. Now she goes by Your Bro Beck. When did she change that? Yeah, see, bro, you don't even keep up with your peoples.
Changing usernames takes a second. Okay.
I remember when I rebranded, it was a whole
thing.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think she is just like literally one of the like epitome of just content creator, dope person in the space. Like everybody damn near wants to be Beck's friend. Like if you meet Beck, it's just like the energy is just like, it's just like unmatched. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just good vibes. And I remember, I think like we met earlier this year. We met at NFT LA for the first time, and then NFT NYC, we ended up doing the scavenger hunt together. And like, I think since then we've kind of just been like locked in as just like close and whatnot. But from the way she creates videos, the tweets, informational, the spicy tweets, love the spicy tweets, the network that she has, and just that representative, that was kind of like the mold of like going after. So Beck is one of the people in the content cabinet. Then we have JB.
Gotta have JB.
I mean, this man fucking led the shoey.
Yeah, he started content for DeGods.
Yeah, he literally started this shit, And JB, it's funny, JB was actually like one of my first like homies like after Mint, because I feel like me and him were always just on some like, yeah, like Twitter's where it's at. Like Twitter's the fucking vibe, you know what I'm saying? And my biggest regret is fucking not buying a Mickey when he told me to buy a Mickey. Like definitely fucking
JB's got to be one of the most underrated like alpha callers in all of DeGods. Of like, I ask him like every once in a while, he'll just be like, oh yeah, like I did this and this, got like 50K airdrop to me. I'm like, okay.
JB is a fucking like, he's just a legend. Like I feel like he's one of those like underrated legends. And like every just like moment I've had with him has just been like fun as fuck. Like I remember I met him for the first time on the Magic Eden yacht, and literally when we looked at it, it was like JB. It was like, oh shit, and like dapped up as if we knew each other for fucking like a decade,
Yeah.
you know? And like, that was the first time we met. And even the party, him fucking doing the ice shoey, all that stuff. Like, bro is just like a legend in the DeGods community and someone that obviously we needed to have on the cabinet. Obviously he puts out content. He reps the brand really well, but I also think he has a great pulse on the community. And so, you know, he's been feeding us a lot of just like a little bit of feedback of what we can do, like on Twitter, timeline, that sort of thing, and just making sure we're showing love to the people in the community, right? One thing you've probably seen is like the DeGods account being more active in terms of like retweets and like all these things, and that's because we want to share like the really dope people in our community, right? And I think at some point we kind of pause that a little bit. It's like that's part of just like bringing the vibes back. And then we got Cuddles.
I gotta have Cuddles.
Who, you know, another legend in the community. This man fucking shot a rocket with fucking DeGods 33.3% in the air. Like, he's just fucking, he's like the Chad of fucking DeGods. I feel like he's just one of those people that is just like real as fuck, dope, like very different from, I feel like, me, like my personality and all this shit. And it just like I feel like that's what makes it work so well, and that's what like makes it fun. You know what I'm saying? Is like you're meeting these different types of people in the community, and everybody kind of has their own lane. And so I think he does like meme content really well. He's fucking hilarious.
Oh, he did that video after season 3.
Yeah.
It was like if you were like gone for 2 weeks and then like check your DGOT bags. And it was one of the funniest, like that's called respectful body bagging.
Yes.
And that's that, you know,
Yes.
and Bex does that too.
Yep.
JB does that. It's like, you know, I loved it. That video is one of my favorite videos.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
And like that's the thing. Like we're in NFTs, if my bags go down, like I should be able to laugh at myself.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in a fucking down bad state where you're like fucking, I don't know, in a fetal position in a dark room, just like wondering where the fuck you went wrong. Like, just laugh at yourself, call it a day. Like, let's keep this shit moving. So he had to be in there. And then obviously I got the man across from me, Marc, on the content cabinet. I mean, I like, for those that don't know, fucking the first ever podcast with Frank is probably one of the best podcasts in just like, I don't know, NFT founder history. Like, yeah. if we want to say that, right? I definitely think it was one of the most bullish cases at that time for DeGods as well. Because when you heard Frank speak and just like the way he would fucking communicate the vision at the time and what was going on, no founders were doing that. You know, that very much set the stage for just like, oh, founders should like do podcasts and not just spaces and like all these things. You know what I mean? And so he was on a little run there. And so that was, you know, one of the best moments, obviously, in DeGods history. And then I think from there, it's just like, obviously, with the sports content, all the other podcasts, you interviewing a car, like, you know, the content ranges. And it's like, again, very, very great rep for the DeGods community.
Well, thank you. I mean, I want to add on to that. I think that you know, when you talk about kind of like, you know, you learning to laugh at yourself. When season 3, when the video of me, which dropped, I think it was like end of June, beginning of July, something like that. And there's a video of me talking about season 3. And the meme then starts after season 3 drops. And there's the meme of me of the you don't know shit, right?
Goated.
You know, I don't know if I found it funny the first few days of season 3 because that was a testy time. But I think,
oh man, I remember that. Yeah, I saw you that week.
Yeah, you know, I was not in the greatest mood that week, but there was outside factors, there was real life factors that were also happening at the same time. But but, you know, after that, I kind of was like, you know, you just got to lean into the meme, right? Like, I know I've become a meme. If I wasn't me, I would meme. This is a tongue twister. If I wasn't me, I would meme me in that moment. So, you know, it was like, I got it. You know, I understood it. It was like, yo, I said something that was, in hindsight, you know, a oops moment, like, my bad. So, you know, you
definitely enjoyed being a meme multiple times. What was the one
it took me a minute
where you just like were like, yo, Photoshop me in every single one of your pictures, and you had some picture of yourself? Like,
I think there were 500 some photos I was tagged in. That shit was crazy.
You live to be the meme. You didn't want it to be. You just didn't want it to be the negative.
I didn't
meme.
I didn't want that one.
Like,
I didn't want that one. But we turned it into a fun thing.
Yeah,
you know?
I think like a month, 2 months later.
Yeah,
because I remember I tweeted, I was like, you know, in hindsight, like this is actually right none of us know shit.
Yeah,
like, we should
people don't talk about that.
We really should have listened to Marc.
Yeah.
None of us know shit.
None of us know shit. All right, last person,
and then
the legend.
Yeah, the legend, Milk. And I think she actually just recently got her DeGod, and I think that's actually super bullish because she's coming from the Utes community. She's been around the D Labs, and same kind of with Beck. I met Milk at NYC, and she was a part of the scavenger team. That was the first time I met her. And again, I think that just like that bonding moment, we've just kind of been locked in since of like doing different things. We did the partnership for like D Athletics and the U Loop cereal, and like put out some dope content going into the basketball tournament, all these things. And so she's been building a lot, just like as far as like product and IP and just like different things in the space, and also being a content creator. And I think it's almost perfect to have her in the community as someone that's like been around it but also new, because there's probably still so many people for her to meet. And she can give feedback on like the how it feels to be like a new DeGod and all that sort of stuff. But I think she's just a great representative overall, someone that you would love to have in your community. Like, I feel like there's just those people that it's just like, I think every single person on the content cabinet, if we were to ask NFT communities, they would be like, I would love to have a person that's like every single one of those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, ask any NFT community right now. You could even ask Bored Ape Yacht Club. I guarantee you they'd be on some like, yeah, we would love to have people like this. Not to say that they don't have people like that, but I mean,
more of them's never a bad thing.
Is never a bad thing.
No,
you know what
no.
I'm saying? Especially people like them that just like active in the space, create content, great representation of the brand, connect with people, and just fucking vibe and have a good time. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm very much looking forward to working with obviously everyone to just continue, again, that very core thing of just like bringing the vibes back and bringing just a very solid brand identity and culture around DeGods.
Yeah, making it fun to be a DeGod. So
literally coolest NFT on the blockchain.
All right, man. Well, hey, I think that's a great point to wrap it up. So our goal, again, is to do these episodes every week, to make them, they'll probably be a little bit shorter sometimes than this, maybe a little bit longer and sometimes, but, we want people to come in here, ask questions, so they can ask them to me. I will make sure that they are then presented to Sonny, who can get answers from the team. We then bring them to the podcast, have this conversation. People get to hear it. Now you're not hearing it from a Twitter space. You can actively go back to these. You can watch these if you missed them, everything like that. We wanted to find an easier way to communicate with the team and communicate with the community and everything like that. And so, yeah, dude, we'll see where this goes. We're just having fun with it. We're gonna have fun with it. We're gonna see where it goes and take it from there.
Yeah, literally, just have fun with it. Rock out. We got town halls on Fridays, so if you want to tap in over there and come join the conversation, we're usually like leaking some things, and we'll have
on
some
Discord.
More. Yeah, on Discord for holders only. And like Marc said, this is just going to be a very referenceable content for people that are joining the community, people that have been here, people that miss spaces, people that miss information anywhere else. We want this to be kind of almost like a one-stop of just like be able to get a lot of the information here and feel like you're well-informed and staying a part of the community. And, obviously we'll catch you on Twitter and all that.
100%. 100%.
Yeah, let's more updates coming soon.
Let's have a fun year. Okay, we got
2024 year of the DeGods.
2024. So we'll see. But Sonny, drop your socials. Where can people find you?
Sonny Maanz on every platform. SUNNYMAANZ, President of DeGods. I'm gonna keep saying that for the clout.
There we go. And no one's tried to assassinate you yet.
Yo, you gotta chill.
All right, we're wrapping this up. See you guys later. We'll talk to you soon.
Let's get
See
it.
ya.